How you going, everyone? Just got a quick recipe for you of how to make some delicious meat pies. To start off, just get a nice cheap cut of beef. Almost anything will work, like a casserole beef or a blade steak, but just get something that's got a little bit of fat. I used about 2.5 kilos of meat for this recipe, but you can adjust to make as much meat pie filling as you'd like. Throw all your fatty bits into a cold pan and heat on low until all that fat renders out. You'll be left with this golden beef tallow that's absolutely delicious. I use 2 whole head of garlic here. Grind on a little bit of salt and then cover with your beef tallow. Make sure you use an oven safe container because you're going to want to put this in the oven at about 120 Celsius for about 25 minutes or until nice and golden. While that cooks, take a few handfuls of your meat, season with salt and pepper and throw them into your pan. Repeat this in small batches until all of your meat is nicely browned. Don't worry about that dark crust on the bottom of the pan, that's just the fond and it's where your flavour is. By the time you've browned all your meat, your confit garlic should be looking and smelling amazing. You could literally just eat this stuff, it is that delicious and sweet, and it has none of the bitterness of normal raw garlic. So if you can help yourself from eating it all, what you'll want to do is separate out the oil and the garlic, throw the oil back into the pan, to which you want to add 3 large diced onions. Give it a bit of a toss just to coat all of the onion in that oil, and then throw a lid onto it to sweat down a little bit. This will also lift up all of that delicious fond from the bottom of the pan. Take your confit garlic, mash it up with a fork and throw that in as well. Now this is where we start to make the gravy for our meat pies. Add in about 3/4 of a cup of plain flour, give everything a nice mix and start to cook that in. To this you'll want to add about 750 milliliters of beef stock. Just slowly add and mix until it's all combined. You'll then want to add 750 milliliters of red wine, 3 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, and about 5 tablespoons of tomato paste. Add in a few cracks of black pepper, throw in your meat, and then give everything a nice stir to combine. I left this in a slow cooker on low for about 8 hours and it turned out perfect. Came out this lovely shredded consistency that's amazing for pies. For the next part of this recipe you've got a few options. The first option is these individual sized pie tins, but if not you can use a muffin tray that I'll show you in a little bit. Use some thawed shortcut pastry and squeeze them into the base of the tin, making sure to leave a little bit of a lip on the top. Here I'm using some baking weights on top of some baking paper, but you can use rice if you don't have these, it works just as well. Throw them into the oven at 180 Celsius for about 20 minutes, then take them out, remove the baking weights and throw them back in for about another 5 minutes. Now it's quite important that your pie filling is cold when you put it into the pie crusts, otherwise everything will get a bit soggy. You can just use the basic pie mixture that we made earlier, but you can add whatever you want to make it a little bit different and put your own spin on it. I like to add cheese and bacon. To do this I'll roughly chop the bacon and about 3/4 cook it in a pan, wait for it to cool and throw a small handful into each pie along with a small handful of cheese. You'll then want to get some thawed puff pastry and cut out rounds about the size of the top of each pie. Using a beaten egg, brush the outside of each of these rounds and you can use that as a bit of a glue to seal it onto the top of your pie. Make sure it's attached on all sides, and then use a knife to cut a few vent holes in the top. This will stop it from blowing out the side while it cooks. Use some of that remaining egg mixture just to coat the top of each of them, and this will give it a nice crispy finish when it comes out of the oven. You'll want to bake them at about 180 for half an hour until they come out nice and crispy like these. I had to cut these open to show everyone a nice cross section. You can see the bacon and the cheese sort of melt onto the top and make this amazing finish. And it tastes absolutely amazing too. I did promise to show you how to make them in a muffin or a cupcake tray, and you know what, I think I prefer this method. You get little small pies, we call them party pies in Australia, and they're absolutely amazing snacks to bring out at a party if you want. Or you can just keep them for yourself for a delicious bite-sized snack whenever you want them. These freeze really well, so you can throw them into the freezer, and then put them into the oven for about 20 minutes just to warm them back up whenever you want them. To make the pastry for these, follow the same procedure as with the large pies, but just put them into every second cell in a muffin tray. I find this helps them cook a little bit more evenly and come out nice and crispy. I opted to not put cheese in these and just made a beef and bacon pie, which turned out absolutely amazing. The cooking time for these remains about the same because you still want that puff pastry to get nice and crispy on the top. I hope you really enjoyed this recipe, and I hope that you'll enjoy eating them as much as I did. Cheers for watching.